Hello, I'm Colonel Douglas Macgregor, CEO and President of the National Conversation. On January 25th and 26th, I will speak at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. Before I arrive, I want to tell you a story the mainstream media will not touch. It's being written right now on lithium salt flats across South America, uranium mines in Africa, and rare earth deposits scattered across the globe. Here's the headline: Mining minerals and rare earths, the specialized elements that make everything from smartphones to fighter jets work, are now strategically more important to the United States than most NATO member states. Let that sink in. When I spoke at the VRIC in January 2025, gold was $2,000 an ounce. Today, it's $4,500 an ounce. That's not inflation. That is the world repricing reality. For the first time in a generation, central bankers trust metal more than Washington's promises. BRICS nations have increased gold holdings by over 100% since 2020. They have added more in 5 years than all the gold currently stored at Fort Knox. Meanwhile, finance ministers still call this inflation transitory. The market does not believe them. Neither should you. In 2025, something happened that will define this century. I call it the Great Mineral Divorce. President Trump launched a Section 232 investigation into critical minerals. China responded instantly by imposing export controls on 7 heavy rare earth elements. European prices hit 6 times China's domestic price overnight. Then China escalated with the Foreign Direct Product Rule. Translation: if your product contains even trace amounts of Chinese rare earths or was made using Chinese rare earth technology, you need Beijing's permission to export it. When Presidents Trump and Xi met in Seoul, South Korea, China agreed to pause these controls for 1 year. The media called it de-escalation. I call it a masterclass in strategic leverage. China proved it can turn off the technological spigot to the entire Western world with one memo. They made sure everyone understood, then graciously agreed to pause. This is what real power looks like in 2026. Let's play a quick game called Name the CEO. Who is the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase? Well, it's Jamie Dimon. Easy. Who is the CEO of Apple? Tim Cook. Everyone knows. Now name the CEO of BHP. Name the CEO of Rio Tinto. Silence. What's wrong? These companies extract the copper for those iPhones, the lithium for those Teslas, the iron ore for artificial intelligence data centers. Yet few people know their names. Jamie Dimon just moves money around. Mining corporations move mountains. Tim Cook assembles components. Miners create them. The world knows who manages their credit card. The world does not know who builds the foundation for our civilization. This is about to change. The next global crisis will not be named after a bank. It will be named after whatever mineral that we in North America cannot get. Let me show you how Washington, D.C. lost its rare earth industry. Mountain Pass, California, opened in 1952. For 4 decades, it supplied 70% of the world's rare earths. America dominated. Then came the 1990s. Environmental regulations tightened. China offered cheaper production. By 2002, Mountain Pass closed. In 2010, Molycorp tried to resurrect it. They invested $1.25 billion. Stock soared. Then China relaxed export restrictions. Prices collapsed. Molycorp's technology failed. By 2015, bankruptcy. When Mountain Pass went to auction in 2017, it sold for $20.5 million. The winning consortium included Shanghai Resources, a Chinese state-linked company. Today, Mountain Pass is back online under American ownership. Where does the concentrate go for processing? China. The bottleneck is not mining, ladies and gentlemen. It is refining. The industrial process that turns raw ore into usable materials. China controls 90% of global earth refining. Let me put that in perspective. 9 out of every 10 F-35 fighter jets that the United States builds exist because Beijing allowed us to build them. Right now, in a warehouse outside Baotou, Inner Mongolia, there is a mid-level ministry official you've never heard of. This Chinese bureaucrat decides whether your iPhone turns on tomorrow, not Tim Cook. A bureaucrat in Baotou. That is not a supply chain. It's a hostage situation. China's dominance comes down to a brutal calculation. Refining raw materials is one of the most energy-intensive processes on Earth. China's state-subsidized power creates cost advantages that the West can't compete with. But beyond energy, there is something even more valuable: certainty. A Chinese refinery operator knows Beijing will support rare earth dominance for the next 30 years. Guaranteed energy subsidies, streamlined permits, zero threat of litigation. An American operator? He does not know what regulations he will face next quarter. China sells certainty, the West sells uncertainty. Global capital always flows to certainty. Here's the absurdity. America will spend over $1 trillion on defense this year. Meanwhile, China will spend $20 billion cornering the minerals that make that defense possible. We are buying the most expensive military in human history with a credit card controlled by our strategic competitor, China. While Washington holds hearings, watch what the smart leaders do. Linus Rare Earth, an Australian company, built processing capacity in Malaysia, where economics made sense. Now they are building a second refinery in Texas, backed by Pentagon funding, processing Australian ore into materials for F-35 aircraft and guided missiles. That's vertical integration. That's what market control looks like. Argentina, under Javier Milei, saw lithium production jump 75% in 2025. Milei slashed regulations and told miners, come and build the future here with us. The miners showed up. Resource sovereignty is not nationalism. It is survival. If you take nothing else from this presentation, embrace these 3 principles. First, control the entire supply chain. If you do not own refining, you own nothing. Mining lithium in Argentina? Own the refining plant in Texas. Can't build it? Build it anyway. Cannot build it? Partner with someone who will. Linus understands this. Their Australian ore now becomes American missiles. Here is a thought experiment. If Beijing called tomorrow and said, no more rare earth exports, how long before your operation stops? If the answer is anything other than we would be fine, you don't have a business strategy. You have a prayer. Second, make your corporation locally essential. Your mine should not just extract minerals, power local agriculture, employ local workers, build schools, staff hospitals. When a mine sustains 10,000 families, you have 10,000 defenders. When the government looks at your operation, they should not see a foreign company extracting resources. They should see the reason their region has prosperity. That is not corporate social responsibility. That's operational security. Third, build security infrastructure before you need it. Who are your contractors? Have they been vetted? Do you have real-time intelligence on regional threats? Can you extract personnel in 24 hours? Companies treating security as an afterthought learn expensive lessons, usually at 3 in the morning when something goes sideways. Today's miners are not developers. They are architects of the next world order. Politicians will figure this out eventually, right when their iPhones stop working because there is no cobalt, when their Teslas stop charging because there's not enough lithium, when defense contractors cannot build missiles because the rare earths are not available. Here is what I want you to understand. 600 million Africans lack reliable electricity. Another 1 billion people globally live without constant power. When your mine powers local hospitals, lights local schools, enables refrigeration for food and medicine, you're not a foreign company taking wealth. You are the reason a child can study after dark. You are the reason a vaccine always stays cold. You are the reason a business can operate. America did not electrify rural communities in the 1930s by waiting for perfect conditions. We built the Tennessee Valley Authority. We strung power lines across impossible terrain. We brought electricity to farms that had never seen a light bulb. That's not colonialism. That's cold civilization. That is not extraction. That is electrification. That is nation building. That is security, theirs and ours. That is what miners do. The future belongs to those who mine, and the governments and investors bold enough to back them. Thank you for listening. If you like this and you too are one of the politically homeless like us, join us at thenationalconversation.org. God bless you and the United States of America.